What's going on, partners? Today we're going to be talking about the crisis that LA County probation is experiencing. Over the years, the department has been attacked. It's been asked to change. Everyone has a theory on what the juvenile system should be, but they can't seem to get it right. It's gotten so bad that they've given the chief emergency powers to avoid the closure, to try to keep it open. Here's what KTLA is reporting.
The LA County Board of Supervisors is expected to declare a local emergency over a beleaguered juvenile detention center. It has been ordered to shut down by the state. KTLA's Ellina Abovian live in downtown LA with the details. Ellina, good morning.
Frank, good morning. Well, you can see right here behind me, we just wrapped up a press conference and we heard from LA County Board Supervisors Hilda Solis and Catherine Barger, both of them presenting this emergency proclamation to get staff and also necessary resources to keep the juvenile hall open. Now, some of the key takeaways from this press conference today, they said the main issue is staffing, either having not enough staff or getting people to show up to work. Bringing in reserve officers, offering bonuses to new hires, 200 to 300 staff to shore up as per the request of Sheriff Robert Luna. The county is currently actively engaged in appeals to keep the juvenile hall open. The goal is for a whole new structural atmosphere, not just about brick and mortar as far as the structure itself goes. Now, the detention center has been in trouble for quite some time, even ordered to close by the state several times. However, it continues to operate. Right now, the main issue is they have nowhere to house the 250 youths detained there. The juvenile hall has been plagued with operational issues since it reopened last year. In October, the board, State and Community Corrections, which oversees detention facilities, deemed Los Padrinos unsuitable to house youth and gave the county until December 12 a deadline to correct staffing deficiencies or to close the facility. However, the county, with no other viable alternative, continues to keep it open. Now, the BSCC doesn't believe the jail, the 90-day extension is enough time for them to fix some of these issues. As a result of these issues, several defense attorneys have begun filing paperwork seeking the release of youth being held at the facility under the contention it is operating illegally, essentially outside the guidelines. Now, back out here live, the LA County Board of Supervisors will be holding its meeting coming up at 9:30 this morning, where they will vote on this emergency proclamation. That's the very latest. I'm Ellina Abovian reporting live in downtown LA, KTLA 5 News.
Typical government speak. This has been happening for years. They've known about it. They've been making changes to improve the situation, and they've been failing at it. Now they're saying that they have a crisis in their hand and they want to throw a bunch of money to fix the problem. It's not going to help. You only have 250 youth. That's not that many people in custody. So you blaming it on the staff, on the line staff, is complete nonsense. You have a huge problem here with leadership not wanting to take ownership and man up to their mistakes. This department has been strategically dismantled and changed by outside forces. The probation department doesn't operate on its own. There are commissions like the Probation Oversight Commission that oversee the probation department. There is the BSCC, the California Board of State and Community Corrections, that also has a list of mandates that the probation department has to follow. When I began these investigations 2 years ago, the BSCC and the Probation Oversight Commissions seemed to me to be the root of the problem. Another big disruptor inside facilities are advocate groups, and the biggest one that I've seen to date is the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, an organization that has been growing in numbers and is part of a lot of government boards and commissions and operates inside of detention centers. This is the first meeting the LA Probation Oversight Commission posted on YouTube in 2002, and they were already talking about the restructuring and closures of juvenile halls. Frankie Carrillo is going to be making the introduction, who according to him was wrongfully convicted. Frankie Carrillo is going to be making the introduction, who according to him was wrongfully convicted of a murder and spent 20 years in prison. Problem I have is that during his time in this commission, he never speaks out against the politics. He never speaks out about the gangs, the drugs, or any crime and potential threats to inmates that happen within detention walls. He never speaks out on that. He always speaks out against the system and what the system does. Yeah, the system does do a lot of things, but we need to expose what's happening within the walls with the other system. How organized criminal organizations have taken over and manipulate the inmates into a life of violence and addiction.
We're going to begin this morning with agenda item number 8. Since we have Chief Gonzalez here, good morning, Chief. with us. And since it's on the top of everyone's minds this month, agenda number 8 is a report for the Los Angeles County Probation Department on the recent move of all the youth from Central Juvenile Hall to Barry J. Nordoff Juvenile Hall, and the BSCC findings and corrective actions at both CJH and, of course, Barry J. Nordoff Juvenile Hall. The POC has a responsibility to ensure that the probation department is implementing systemic reform and moving forward with the board of supervisors' goals of youth justice reimagined and a care first, jail last criminal justice system. In light of the recent findings of the BSCC and the abrupt transfer of youth and staff from Central to Barry J. Nordoff, the POC has asked the probation department to attend today to give us an update and explain the decisions behind the move and the plans for reaching compliance with Title 15. Other commissioners and I have made multiple visits to Barry J. Nordoff over the past 2 weeks and heard from staff and youth about serious concerns related to violence in the facility, call-outs and staffing issues that have been contributed to tensions that have led to youth not being able to attend school, and to general concerns. We have seen and heard about youth sitting around for hours with little to no programming, about cancellations of family visits and recreation, and about fear among youth and staff. We also have heard concerns about the recent staff changes that resulted in changes also in most of the leadership positions at the facilities. Chief Gonzalez and team, can you share with us your updates, insights, and plans?
All right, before we listen to the chief, let's dissect a little bit of what Carrillo said here. The commission has the responsibility to ensure that the probation department is implementing the supervisor's goals of Justice Reimagined. They have an agenda, they have a plan, and it's called Justice Reimagined. They've been implementing this plan for years now, since 2020, and it has completely failed. They're not giving up on it. They're continuing to push it forward, and it's a complete disaster. The same thing is happening with the state correction department, except that their program is called the California model. A complete disaster that's making both county and state detention centers war zones, and they don't care. They have complete disregard for the lives of the officers and the inmates inside prisons. Now, Justice Reimagined is being pushed from several different angles. It's not just the LA County Board of Supervisors. This is a Catholic mobilization network that is also pushing Justice Reimagined. Catholic Mobilization Network is the national Catholic organization working to end the death penalty, advance justice, and begin healing. So let's see what Lindsay has to say about all this.
That is riddled with problems is the probation department.
Yes.
And you're passionate about this. The board just fired the chief probation officer.
We did.
On Tuesday, at your next meeting, you're going to be introducing a motion to make things better, I suspect. What's that plan?
Yes, we have a series of motions addressing a variety of aspects because while we know that our justice system is about accountability, for me, accountability isn't just punishing people. It's about how do we rehabilitate them so that way when they come back into our communities, they have skills, they have the tools they need and the supports that they need to be safe going out of our system. And right now, our probation system is not delivering for our young people. We need to make sure that they have the services, support, and especially education. Right now, probation officers aren't showing up to work, so teachers who are supposed to be teaching our young people in the system can't go to work either. Our young people are being given packets to educate themselves. That's unacceptable. We must do better.
When are we going to start doing better? Because you've been in office for quite some time. When are we going to start doing better? You're passionate about these issues. When are we going to start doing better? When is real change, real reform going to happen? This is your idea. It's on your website. Justice Reimagined. This is your failure. How are we going to do it better? Blaming the officers for not coming into work, it really feels, and I don't want to say this, and I really don't know how to say it, but it kind of feels like an attack on cops. It does. Perhaps in this next video, she has some answers for us.
Los Angeles County has a vision for youth justice that emphasizes care first. While steps have been taken to realize this goal, it's simply not the reality youth entrusted to probation experience today. We must do better because our youth deserve better. A series of motions on Tuesday's agenda that I'm leading will do the following. Immediately bring programming into facilities to give young people the hope and tools they need to be successful. Release young people in detention who can and should be released. Upgrade juvenile detention facilities to home-like environments and move our young people to these settings. Moving budget, programming, and operational authority from probation to the Department of Youth Development, which was established to oversee juvenile justice through a Care First model. We can't do this alone. State law currently limits juvenile justice authority to probation departments. To bring restorative justice to life, we need state law to change. We are asking the state to partner with us to give our young people a brighter future. First. While steps have been taken to realize this goal, it's simply not the reality youth entrusted to probation experience today. Los Angeles County has a vision for youth justice that emphasizes care first. While steps have been taken to realize this goal, it's simply not the reality youth entrusted to probation experience today. We must do better because our youth deserve better. A series of motions on Tuesday's agenda that I'm leading will do the following. Immediately bring programming into facilities to give young people the hope and tools they need to be successful.
You're immediately going to bring in programming. You're talking about you don't have staff. How are these people going to come in and get programming when you don't have staff to escort them? You're just going to overwhelm the system.
Release young people in detention who can and should be released. Upgrade juvenile detention facilities.
You only have 250 inmates in custody. It sounds to me that everyone who could have been released has already been released. You have the worst of the worst. Most of the people that you have in custody in juvenile halls are not even minors. Most of them are adults because they made changes in the laws where if you were 18 to 25 to stay in juvenile hall. In my opinion, a 25-year-old is an adult and he belongs in a prison or in a jail, not county halls. Now, thanks to your own doing and the changing of those laws, what you have is a majority of 18 to 25-year-old men in your custody that are convicted of violent crimes and you can't release them. So I don't know how that's going to help. You're stuck. That's why you're still operating even though they told you to close because you have nowhere to put them. So that portion of your plan is completely useless.
Upgrade juvenile detention facilities to home-like environments and move our young people to these settings.
You're going to move these people to home-like settings where there's lamps, there's tables, so they can use as weapons. You're going to give these guys environmental weapons, opportunistic weapons, so they can hurt each other. That's what we're going to do. These are violent men. I don't know if you understand that.
Moving budget, programming, and operational authority from probation to the Department of Youth Development, which was established to oversee juvenile justice through a Care First model. We can't do this alone.
Why not give funding to both? Why take it away from the probation department? The probation department needs their own funding. They're going to need their own programs to operate. Why can't they both get funding? Why do we have to take funding away from the probation? It's already struggling. It can't retain people. Why do we have to defund them? The only way that they're going to become better is if we give them the tools and resources that they need. So why not fund both departments?
State law currently limits juvenile justice authority to probation departments. To bring restorative justice to life, we need state law to change. We are asking the state to partner with us to give our young people a brighter future.
And that's not going to be much help. What is state law going to do? The state doesn't know what to do. They can't figure out their own prison system. The prison system is at a crisis and it's falling apart. How is the state going to be any help? The state is no help. You know how I know? Because the DMV doesn't work. Because our roads don't work. Our education system doesn't work. Our healthcare system doesn't work. Honestly, what they've done is they've taken the power away from law enforcement, who in reality are the only ones that know how to solve this issue. The state's not going to help. They don't even have the appropriate hiring standards for probation officers. Probation officers need to be law enforcement. They need to be equipped. They need to be trained. They need to be prepared. You just can't hire anyone off the street. The policing standards in California are an absolute joke.
Juvenile hall in Downey. It shows multiple juveniles targeting and fighting with another detainee.
What are these guys doing? What are these probation officers doing? Just standing by. The guy's scared. He backs up. She's smiling. She has her hands in her pocket. These guys are not equipped. They're not prepared. The state needs to hire the minimum standards for people entering the law enforcement career. 21 is too young. No college degree is probably not a good thing. And there are many other problems that I will continue reporting on. For now, partners, that's all I got. Remember to hold the line and let's hold them accountable.